Welcome back for another video. Who are the best players to buy for Gameweek 5? Whether that's using free transfers or maybe you've got a chip active, we'll discuss all the positions and the best picks for each position. As a reminder, this week European football starts, so the sensible thing to do is to wait before making any transfers until after those games are played. We've all got players involved. The following teams are all going to play before the Gameweek 5 deadline: Arsenal, Brentford, Crystal Palace, Tottenham, Forest, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City and Newcastle. There's a few League Cup games in there as well. Injuries are unpredictable, you never know when it might happen to your team. It could be one of those games if you're very unlucky, and therefore that's why waiting is generally sensible. Of course, there might be times where you've got exact money on a particular set of moves and you might have to make a judgment call there. And yeah, if you've been making early transfers, these first few game weeks and getting away with it, you never know when an injury could come back to bite you and ends up costing you more points longer term. So yeah, generally the safer, sensible play style is to just wait and be patient. Like, let's say you spend a couple transfers, you sell Salah, you buy Haaland gets injured in the Champions League. The points you've just lost there is significant. Anyway, goalkeepers first, and this week Alisson tops the table facing Everton home for the Merseyside derby. However, Alisson, I think, is a really good example of where the next 5 projections column comes in really handy. Because longer term, Raya's in front, he's on 19 points for the next 5 versus Alisson's 17.3. And looking even beyond the next 5, Raya's fixtures are better. If you're making a keeper transfer or if you're wildcarding, then Raya would be my pick, despite having Man City this game week. It's not often that we make keeper transfers, and when one joins our FPL team, it's therefore basically with a very long-term view. Because on average, goalkeeper is always the lowest scoring position, and therefore it's just not an area that's worth spending transfers most of the time. I've always found goalkeepers to be really unpredictable as well. Like the premiums actually rarely finish as a top scoring keeper. It's not like the premium mids and premium strikers and even defenders, because obviously the cheaper keepers face more shots that make up in the points difference in the slightly reduced clean sheets. And even then, there's teams that can have a bubble season and do well, like Sales last season, who I think ended up sharing the Golden Glove with Raya. Wolves face all 3 promoted teams in their next 5, which has got Jose Sarr on 16.4 points. I really don't have much confidence in the Wolves defence though personally, so I would rather find the 0.5 mil for Martinez or just go Petrovic over Sarr. Defenders next, and it's a Liverpool player top again. Van Dijk's on 4.6 points on FPL Review. Back-to-back 8 pointers for Virgil, and he's got very good clean sheet odds for Gameweek 5. Only 0.13 expected goals conceded last match against Burnley. Liverpool won 1-0 against Everton in the same fixture last season, 2-0 the year before, 2-0 the year before that as well. It's really the away games against Everton that have been quite unpredictable historically. Munoz and Låbakk make the table again this week, but I think I'd actually swerve buying either of them, unless you desperately need a defender for this 1 week, maybe a wildcard in 6. They've got West Ham away, which of course is a nice fixture, but after that they've got Liverpool and Arsenal in the 4 game weeks to follow. It is an interesting point of reference though, that the algorithm clearly heavily favourites defensive contribution picks now. Although Palace's fixtures turn, from a DEFCON perspective, the odds actually go up, which would explain Låbakk actually being ahead of Munoz for the next 5, but behind for this game week. Senesi and Agbadu, good examples as well, they're great for DEFCONs. I mean, Senesi, I think he might be the top scoring defender in terms of defensive contribution total, and I think he's basically a lock in my team if I wildcard Game Week 6. Huge props to Areola. Despite all the outgoing players, they've kept 2 clean sheets in the first 4 game weeks, and they're sitting 4th in the Premier League table with 3 wins on the bounce. And that's all without Kluivert needed back in the starting 11 as well. There's an interesting trend of increased clean sheets, and I did a bit of digging this morning. We've had 32 clean sheets from the 4 game weeks, so an average of 8 per game week. Last season, at this stage, we'd had 18 clean sheets, so that's 14 fewer. The season before that at this stage, we had 14 clean sheets. Non-penalty expected goals has also decreased year on year the last 3 seasons at this stage. It is big at the back, especially with the defensive contributions in mind. So yeah, as a consequence of that, the team of the season is a 5-3-2 formation. It's Vicario Timber, Calafiori Chalobah, Guehi Låbakk, Semenyo Caicedo, Enzo Haaland and João Pedro. 5-3-2. Including defensive contributions, Caicedo's actually returned in every game as well, so he's an interesting pick going under the radar, and he has scored twice as well. Some defenders to mention that aren't shown here. Tarkowski first of all, he's hit DEFCON in every game so far. He does have Liverpool, of course, so not the right entry point to buy him, though he probably will hit it again against them. Game week 6, Everton have got home games to West Ham and Palace back to back. The other one is Vardy for me. He's dropped down to 5.8 mil. Back in the starting 11 last match, Aït-Nouri of course missed the game injured, kept the clean sheet, and as I say, he's dropped in price a couple of times. He's probably going to play as centre back primarily, however, but I think for 5.8 mil, with a fixture swing from game week 6, he's an interesting pick. The combinations I'm weighing up is Raya, Gabriel and Vardy, or Donnarumma, Gabriel and Saliba. Onto the midfielders, and Salah tops the table again on exactly 7.0 points. I think it's fair to say he's been disappointing after 4 game weeks, and he's been incredibly fortunate to have 3 returns, given that all 3 have come in stoppage time as well. I mean, if any of you captain Salah game week 1, 2 and 4 with Bruno in game week 3, then all of your captain returns have come in added time this season, so count yourself blessed. Man United versus Chelsea is going to be a great watch. Like, Bruno's second on the table, Palmer's third, who of course scored off the bench on his return from injury last match as well. I'm looking to swap Palmer back into my team in game week 6, with Salah making way in all likelihood. It's Semenyo, however, who's the top scorer midfielder in the game right now. Obviously scoring a penalty last match, got an assist, and we learnt that he's ahead of Evan Nilsson in the pecking order for pens, but yeah, we'll have to see whether he's ahead of Kluivert when he's on the pitch at the same time. Only Haaland and Mbeumo have got a higher expected goal involvement this season. Bruno's in 4th on 2.8, Gyökeres 2.4. Penalties of course inflating some of these stats a little bit, but if you want to play around with the data, the tables from FPL page is completely free to look at expected data and other stats, or you can install the Focal app, link below for that. Wirtz and Rodgers, I have to say, have been by far the most disappointing midfielders, haven't they? Not a single return between them in 4 games. And Wirtz makes the table again, given he does have Everton home. That's the annoying thing. The fixtures are there for these guys, they're just not delivering. If you've got him, are you giving him one more week or is it time up? I've got Rodgers myself, and I've more or less committed to a Game Week 6 wildcard, so in that scenario, there's just absolutely no point using up a valuable free transfer to sell someone playing Sunderland for just 1 week, and I think you can make the same argument for Wirtz when he's got Everton home just for 1 week. So Mitoma's in at the bottom of the table. He is someone that's worth looking at for 6.4 mil. Not necessarily this game week, but from game week 7, Brighton have got a really good long-term run of games, and he's played 3 90s in a row now, and he always looks a threat. Rata and Minte are the other ones as well there, but the minutes just haven't been as convincing right now. Obviously you're rarely going to see defensive mids on these, but that isn't to say they're not worthy of consideration as well. Like Caicedo's been ridiculous for the amount of defensive contributions that he's racked up. 59 this season is more than any player in fact. And look at Senesi on 55. Van Dijk and Anderson have got 48. That all said, Caicedo's actually got 2 goals to his name this season as well, which is very good going for a DM. Just don't expect that output to continue every other game. Honourable mention to Dewsbury Hall, who's on 23 DCs, but he's got 1.4 XGI, which is pretty good going for 5 mil. We'll finish up with the forwards, and if the tips in this video have been helpful, hit subscribe. I can't see the top 3 on this table going down well with you guys, but this week it's Gyökeres number 1, it's Watkins number 2, and it's Haaland number 3 on the forwards table. Now obviously it's a huge game, Arsenal home to Man City, which does give Gyökeres the home advantage. He's on pens, and you know, Arsenal are the best defence in the league at the end of the day, which is what's playing against Haaland here just this week on the table. At least by game week 38 I'd expect Arsenal to have the most clean sheets and best XGC. But Haaland's numbers have been absolutely staggering after 4 games. It's kind of a repeat of last season almost. You might have noticed on that expected data widget earlier, he's on 5.7 expected goals, which is literally more than double anyone else in the league. Semenyo is second on 2.7. But the more you think about it, the more I think the list kind of makes sense this week. Like, Gyökeres was on the score sheet last match himself, and although Watkins is yet to return, 1.1 expected goals suggests he should have done. He's been a bit unlucky. And if you've watched him, there have been a couple of really good chances over the first 4 games that have fallen to him. Though the Everton game was a shocker, he literally didn't have a shot on goal at all, 0.0 XG. So João Pedro has kind of been the inverse Watkins. Like, he has been significantly better, don't get me wrong, but in terms of overperformance from lower expected assist data, he's got 3 assists from just 0.2 expected assists. He just keeps on delivering and his ownership's become scary high. But is he 66% ownership good? That's the question. In my opinion, no, he's not, and I think there's still an opportunity to go elsewhere and take on that ownership, especially if perhaps you've had a slower start than you would have liked. You don't have to buy just because they're highly owned. It is a way to play the game if you just want to protect your rank, but For bigger rank swings, you can also go against those highly owned players. I think I'm likelier to go without him than with him myself right now. I mean, for 0.7 mil cheaper on the table here, we've got Evan Nilsson, only one projected point behind João Pedro for the next 5 game weeks, for example, and the difference in ownership between them must be something like 60%. If Strand Larsen's back soon as well, then I think the ideal front three that I would personally like to have is Haaland, Gyökeres and Strand Larsen. And it's 3 blanks in a row for Wood now, which is also an absolute killer if you've got him. And he's kind of the same boat as Wirtz and Rodgers, isn't he? Has anyone got like a combination of these players like Watkins, Wood, Rodgers, Wirtz or something? Like, surely one more week. He's got Burnley and then he's got Sunderland, so maybe even 2 more weeks. You have to hold for those fixtures, I think. But yeah, credit to Burnley. They actually really impressed me against Liverpool, and it was just the handball that decided it in the end. But that all said, I'd still keep him if I had him. Let us know in the comments where you're at with your FPL team, what your transfer plans are. And thank you as always for watching. See you soon for the next one.